it's like this pyramid, it's like, there's the bicycle shops that are at the top, and below that we have like, like mobile, type shops, and then below that we have like individual mechanics, and then the truth is below that we have like amateur mechanics, and below that we have like the customer, like nobody, like the people, everybody that's at the top of that pyramid, as they look down, they're like, yeah, that person, not as good. That person's not professional. That person's not, and it just goes on and on down the thing. Like every time I talk to mechanics, whether they be brick and mortars or they be like mobile mechanics or they be individual mechanics that have got like an extensive background, like each one looks down like on the other one. I mean that's like where the industry's at. I mean it really doesn't get anywhere, because everybody's a bad mechanic except the person that's doing it. Like that's the thing. I mean, it's like that attitude is so ingrained in the industry. I find it astonishing that we're as far along as we are. Like just everybody wants to say that the other person is not as good. And I'm not saying I've never done it, or never felt like that. Anyways, I mean, I worked on a bike the other day that had just been tuned up, at a shop, and I mean the rear derailleur, the low limit screw was like 5 turns out. Like it would have just shifted into the wheel, like with just, if the person hit the shifter hard enough, like they were already in the lowest gear and they pushed it one more time, they would just tear the rail off, And, I mean, I asked the customer, I said, I didn't mention what was wrong. I just said, how much was the tune-up? Because they had said to me, oh, you just got a tune-up. How much was the tune-up? Like $59. Well, that's a pretty good price, like. And, to me, it just says, I don't know what the description in that shop is of, like, what a tune-up is. I mean, does it include checking the limit screws on the rear derailleur? Like, I mean, maybe it does, and maybe the mechanic failed to do that. I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know what happened,
I've got an idea, and it's like, even we talk about the review first before.
Yeah.
And even the review, when you have a customer can't really tell, how good the tune-up is, right? It's really hard. I mean, it's like, the guy was really nice. I'm happy. My bike is riding well. So I think down the road, to lower people's ego, you can just pay other mechanics to pretend to be a customer.
Yeah.
And then other people will just come in and do the tune-up, and they just, like secretly have, review them. And we'll just all then find out who's good, who's not, based on that. It's like,
based on that,
chart. And this is, a performance, You didn't complete the checklist that you're supposed to. You forgot.
You forgot.
Yeah, it wasn't really important, but you did forget. So you're not the best one. It's like, in cycling, right? There's like, you go at the top of the mountain, you first one, your second, second one, and third, your third.
And that's the thing, like right as an industry, like, what is a good mechanic? Like, who defines that? Like so in other words, if the mechanic that worked on that tune-up I got in the other day that I was, working on, because the customer was complaining about there was problems with the bike after the tune-up. And, so is it that a good mechanic, like, makes sure to, and then there's a list of things, like a checklist of things. Like, is that a good mechanic? Is a good mechanic, is it depend on what they work on? Like in other words, like, yeah, if you have a mechanic who's, let's say doing assembly work, I mean, maybe the person who's, overhauling, like Chris King hubs has decided that they're a better mechanic than the person who's doing bike assembly because, that's a more technical job, to do that hub overhaul. There's more steps and specialized tools and like it's a more complicated thing. Like, you know what I mean?
It's hard to do, but you just it's called specialization. You specialize in something. Yeah. So if you specialize in putting bikes together, I mean, that's a skill. You can do like 1,000 bikes, months, and you can be really good at it.
Yeah.
And just follow the checklist, complete fully, and everything works. I mean, but then you can't really do like overhaul of something. But are you a good mechanic or not? But if you're only doing a bike assembly and you're good at it, or do the tune-ups and you're good at it, you don't have to do the complicated part.
Yeah.
But so then basically you're saying that somebody who does that could actually go back to the other guys and you don't know how to do it, so you're not a good mechanic. Well, potentially, right?
Yeah,
you can always
potentially,
find some. But then the other person, like, I saw your tune-up, you didn't have enough experience in practice. You forgot something. So you're not a good mechanic. So, I mean, all I'm saying is, like, there's no one is really good because it's really, the industry is so big. There's so many bikes, so many new things, and for example, by the person who works on electric bikes, who can maybe put the, an engine, like, apart.
Yeah.
He could be like, you guys are not as good as I am because I'm doing this. You don't know how to even deal with that.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, having a skill-based search function on Velotooler in the long run, is going to make more of a difference because it's not so much whether a mechanic is like good or bad. I think that's actually just it's like a misdirection of like what people.
It is. It's like I think everybody's really good. There's something that they do better than others. And
I mean, it's funny that the thing is like more and more I've like been a mechanic. I tell people a lot of it has to do with like having experience doing a particular thing. Yeah. It doesn't even matter what it is. I mean, whether it's building wheels or adjusting campy EPS shifting. I mean, if you do one of those things like frequently, you are good. So in other words, the number of mistakes that you have is low, very low, and you the steps pretty much by heart, so you're able to do the job like pretty quickly.
Right.
That in my mind is define somebody who is good at a skill. They have all the pieces that they need. It doesn't make somebody a good mechanic or a bad mechanic if for instance, if you're really good at let's say assembling that Chris King hub. Does it mean you're a bad mechanic when you can't do a Fox suspension fork overhaul without having like a video right in front of you? Does that make you a bad mechanic? Like, you know what I mean? No, it doesn't. It just
I can tell you, I'm probably one of the best in washing bikes. I can do a really good job. You've seen. I mean, you've seen the bike. I remember the tape, the bar tape. Yeah. I kept it for like 3 years with the same bar tape, and it always looked like new.
It always looked new.
I mean, I'm really good at it. I mean, I can criticize anyone.
Yeah.
It's like, no, this bike is not washed properly.
Yeah.
So does it make me a good bike mechanic who can do the washing part? I mean, am I? Not, I mean, it's.
And that's the thing, like in my store, like washing bikes is like a skilled position. In my mind,
I mean, no, it is a skill.
It is a skilled position. Like you can't just give somebody a bike and tell them to clean it.
It's like
it does not work out. Like it just does not work like that. I mean, whether they use the hose and they blow into the water into the bearings, or they just miss spots. I mean, it happens to me all the time. Like I tell people, it's like I usually work on the bike in terms of the way my cleaning situation is the drivetrain faces out towards me. So a lot of times the drive side of the bike is really clean, and I'll miss something on the other side.
You see, horrible mechanic.
I'm terrible. It's like that's the thing. It's like it's so easy to be critical.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody. It's like they just naturally want to judge other people in the industry, and it gets us nowhere.
Yeah.
The whole industry, like as long as we want to judge the other person, good or bad. Because when you judge people, you feel good about yourself. And when you're the person being judged, you don't feel good about yourself. So nobody wants to be judged. Like not that way anyway. Like in other words, if we've got like a review thing on there where they can be not judged, but they can be reviewed on a specific skill.
But that's what this is what we're trying to establish, right? Every job has specific required skill.